Smashing. Thanks for having me, everyone. Really great to follow Rick, who was, I'm a big fan of Set Squared, having started a company in the Set Squared incubator. And Rick's counterpart, a chap called Grev, gave me a lot of mentoring over a couple of years. And I've always said it was instrumental to a turning point in our business that led to it growing. And that business is one of two businesses that I want to tell you about. I'm going to give you some insights of our journey, so some stories along the way. There won't be that much technical around how we build products, or even from a business sense, how we raise money, how we go to market, how, that side of running the business. It's more the personal stories of things I enjoyed, some highlights on the way, and some of the challenges, and some of the lessons I learned that I think are really important that I take into every business I go into. So, first company is called Brightpearl. Oh, do we have, let's just see if we can get that going. Maybe not. Yeah, we won't be doing that. Back to the presentation. Perfect. So Brightpearl is a piece of software used by small retailers. They're selling on and offline. They've got between 2 and 20 employees. It does a whole load of stuff. Basically, it runs all the back office for their business. So they know what's in stock in their shops, in the warehouse. And so it runs their warehouse. It connects on the top to all different ways of selling online. So Shopify, Magento, their e-commerce platforms, basically web stores. eBay, Amazon, marketplaces, a couple of other web stores. Integrates to its customer relationship management system, so you know who your customers are, you can send out messages to them. Helps you pick, pack, and ship goods through a variety of integrations. Based just down the road, 80 employees in there. We started about 8 years ago, with about 30 in San Francisco. It's raised 35 million US to get it going. It does very good revenues. Our customers sell about 5 billion every year through those shopping channels. The market's trillions, so we're trying to get it to 50 billion, 500 billion in order to create a really big business. So this is a company Chris Tanner, a good mate of mine, started. We met at university. I studied AI and computer science. He's an electronic engineer. So we are tech guys by heart. There's a story on why we made that business. We didn't wake up one day and think, let's build an accounting and inventory management software package. we were actually doing another company, but I'll come on to that. So this doesn't work, does it? So the second business, is called FatMap. So I stepped back, having grown Brightpearl from the two of us to over 100 people. After 8 years, I was pretty exhausted and wanted a break. We have a fantastic CEO running the company. I spent a year doing other things. I was a climbing instructor when I was a lot younger, passionate about the mountains, and I bumped into another chap who built and sold a tech company and skis for the British ski mountaineering team. And he was very fed up with maps, or the lack of, in different places of the world. We're very lucky in the UK, we have Ordnance Survey, amazing maps. Same with Swiss Topo, but most of the world there isn't a map. So what he did with a co-founder based in Bristol, the chap I met lives between Chamonix and London, is they built the high-resolution 3D maps of the outdoors. You download them and you put them on your phone. It's about 30 times more accurate than Google Maps. It's called FatMap. We launched it this winter with about 60 ski resorts and got about 500,000 customers in the first couple of months. So it's really flown. That's that business. We'll come on to more. That's Misha, one of the founders I mentioned, jumping off something. He's very good at skiing. And this is Dave, based in Bristol, around the corner. This is the Himalaya in winter, a place he describes no human should really be. Very, very remote. So these guys aren't shy of a challenge. Speaking of challenges, Misha, a couple of months ago, was in Greenland. And this was the map he had, made in 1952. Wanted 250,000. So an OS map is 1 to 25,000. So this is like, you can see you can't do any detailed route planning. So we basically got some data from a satellite, and over a weekend we built a 20 centimeter accurate three-dimensional model that you can download to your phone. Feel free to download it. It's free, called FatMap, and you can interact with it and figure out exactly where you want to go. I mean, it's still challenging. There was no helicopters for rescues. There were polar bears who were stuck in huts in the middle of nowhere for days. But occasionally the sun came out. We found north-facing couloirs, one of them 900 metres long that had never been skied, and did a bunch of first ascents. Some pictures here to show you what it's like. I think the first thing I reflect on in a business is that I think this quote by the founder of Dropbox sums it up quite nicely, is building a business isn't, it isn't a 9 to 5, unfortunately. That's what a job is. Building a business is a passion. It takes everything. So you must feel like, this is the thing that you want to do and be your legacy. Interestingly, it probably won't be the first or even the second that may be successful, but you still have to be passionate. It takes a lot. And that's how we started. So we were supposed to be studying degrees in engineering, but actually we really loved outdoor sports. So we were hammering down hills on these long skateboards that we chopped up in our basement. And we made a website in 2001 and started events and meetups. And we built, in the end, the third largest long skateboard company in the world, the largest in Europe. And we had a lot of like trucks, wheels and boards flying around the place, and we were trying to keep track of that inventory. So we're using a whole load of spreadsheets and some really poor systems like Sage 50. Every business should run the Sage 50 or QuickBooks. And it's, it's great for accounting. Your accountant will love it. You will not. So we thought there must be something better. We picked up the phone and the sales guys came in to our basement in the student house in Sheffield. And we really couldn't afford the hundreds of thousands they wanted. So we thought, let's have a go billing it ourselves. So we were already web natives. So we built it to run up on a dial-up modem a long time ago. And it powered that, basically, that software went on to be Brightpearl, but it powered that business because we could actually focus on what was important, which was designing products, running events, sales, marketing, all that good stuff. And we weren't held back by the lack of tech, figuring out who ordered that, do we have enough in, how many we're going to need, what margin are we making of this stuff, what tax do we owe. So we built the software to answer all those questions. Then in 2007, the penny dropped. There are actually more retailers with less than 20 employees than any other kind of business on the planet. And a lot of people have dial-up modems. Let's sell it to them. $10 a month per user. So we quit our jobs, left Lush Longboards, hired a couple of reprobates. They were fantastic people. So this guy actually changed one of NASA's homepages and got away with it. He can do anything with a keyboard. His efficiency is incredible. He tracks his mouse miles and keystrokes. He's on it. And this chap was incredible with customers and getting customers live. And there's Chris, my co-founder. There was sadly no heating in this little office we're in, and it got very cold. So it makes me this first mile though of the company for that 2 years. We didn't take a salary, and there was a whole load of sacrifice. I'll come on to actually what we had to go through, but what we were trying to figure out is this worth it really? Like, it's clearly good to our business, that skateboard company, but do these other retailers, do they need this stuff? And there are 3 tests that I apply to any business that I see, and people approach me to say, what do you think of this idea? I mean, first of all, I think if you think it's a fantastic idea, that's great, and if you don't, no one will believe you. You have to believe in it. So you have to be passionate. But you can't just be passionate, right? You've got to actually be the best at the world, you and your team. And team is very important. We'll come on to it, because you will not be the best in the world. In fact, you're going to be pretty average at best at most things that a company needs to do. So you do need to build a team that can be best at the world, whatever it is that you're passionate about. And then the third thing is, and this is, I think, one of the most important things, is that does the world need this? There are so many options, more and more all the time. We're getting less patient. There's more choice on our phones and on the web. Why is a business or a person going to be attracted and not just use, but pay you good money for this? So is there a large market opportunity? So we need to think big. It's hard to know. I remember when I first met investors and they were trying to understand the scale of our ambition. It's hard to know what big looks like, and it's taken me a few years to work that out. But generally, you're trying to size up a market that is ideally in the billions, which sounds silly, it's so big, but actually there's just more chances to fail ultimately if you have that many people out there. If you can only get 2%, you're still a huge company. So for Brightpearl, to convince investors this is a fantastic business to invest in, I just drew a chart with two axes. One was the scale of the revenue and the other was the rate of growth. And I plotted about a dozen companies they would have heard of that do similar stuff. They sell software to businesses like Salesforce. And the valuation or the multiple of revenue were the dots. And basically, the higher revenue, higher the growth, you can justify about 10 to 20x revenue as your valuation, just revenue, not profit. So if you can grow quickly, without, where you are actually, unit economics are profitable, but if you can grow quickly, you can actually justify a very large price tag. And so for Brightpearl, if we could have 20,000 customers, small businesses, of which there are millions and millions, using that maths, we'd be worth $1 billion. And if we could do that in 5 years, they could generate a return for their fund, which is why they said, we'll trust you with $35 million to make this happen. So big market, what are you passionate about? What can be best in the world at? And it does take a lot. I gave up my house because we didn't want to let anyone go on the team. Someone lent me this boat to live on for a year in Bristol Harbour, 2010, the year it froze, and there's no heating on it. It was a very hard year. I remember, Rick will have heard this story a couple of times, but there was a little stove to burn coal, and I'd run out of coal. So I went to the local petrol station where I would steal coal because I couldn't afford it. And at night time, they never locked the coal shed because who's going to steal coal, right? But they were onto me. They'd locked it. And it was a particularly dark, cold, stormy night. So on my way back, feeling a bit sorry for myself, I saw my neighbour's boat, loads of coal, and the lights were out. He was clearly not in. So I put a bag over my shoulder, and as I'm climbing onto the harbour side over an icy rail, I slip, it falls, splits, black coal everywhere. I'm covered in the stuff trying to get back to the boat to warm the thing up. And in the end, the wind blew so strong that the coal smoke came inside the boat. I had to abandon ship anyway. And I was on a friend's floor for about 2 to 4 weeks, where they fed me beer and some food, and then paid my rent actually for 3 months. So, whilst trying to create something really special, you go through a lot. And the point when you do get these external validation points is wonderful. So this is signing our first seed investment, which was $1 million. As Chris and I were quite pleased with that deal. To get to there, we needed more validation points. And this is where I'll just refer back to Jake, who was telling me about his business, and I believe he's got a fantastic mentor in the room that's made a big difference. For us, that was instrumental. And the guys at Set Squared, I can't say it enough, really know their stuff. There's, no startups fail, so the objective is to fail fast, do it again. Actually, what they do at Set Squared is they heavily curate the businesses that go in. So there's a really high quality of engineering-led founders and small teams, and they will nurture them to whatever the best outcome is. Some are bought for hundreds of millions, others will create a nice profitable business with 20, 30 employees, but it's a fantastic team. And they took us, the engineers, who are great with customers and passionate about that, but they put structure. I remember every month, Grev, who's Rick's counterpart, would sit me down for a month with Chris, and we'd run a mini kind of board meeting. And then when I thought, time to actually get a salary, build a team, we know the business can fly, let's invest in it. And he kind of took me on a journey to coach me on what investors, who they are, what do they expect from me, how do I speak to them. I remember when I first met an investor, either an angel or venture capitalist is who you'll probably speak to, or a VC for short. And he said, when Rick Grev said he wants me to meet a VC, I thought he meant a brave soldier. And I was very disappointed. But fortunately, he kind of coached me first on what to do. But validation points from mentors, people who are experienced in your industry can help. If you've been on this journey before, building a business can help you shortcut some of the lessons learned. And they'll help you build as a team, but also they're a signal to the market that there's a team here who are onto something special. So the quality of your mentors is vital. I managed to land through a load of one of the dragons from Dragon's Den, and he was fantastic in terms of coaching us to get that $1 million deal. Actually, he was on the phone calls with the VCs, and because of his profile, they were really good with us actually. So bring in mentors, work with Set Squared or this place or many of the other, the incubation. I mean, the more expertise relevant to the business, the better. So this looks like a fabulous organization. So stay involved. And as it scales, it's wonderfully satisfying. I think my internet, I shouldn't need the internet. Okay, something's gone wrong here. Oh well, you can't see it, but this is some of the team at part of the journey in our office. It's a fabulous feeling actually building a team and a culture, and the business changes from you working directly with customers to actually, creating a fabulous team who share the vision, and they're working with the customers and take great joy from it. So that was a picture of the team. Speaking of team, I think product and markets are absolutely vital, but from the beginning I've always said team and believed in that. We have a fabulous team where every function has heads and people who are way better than Chris or I could ever be in those disciplines. It's really hard to find them. London is a hoover for talent globally, and Bristol less so, but like Rick said, we do have a lot of talent here. And it's not all about money. It's really important that we have visions for our companies, and quality culture in our companies, but mainly the vision. So really, how is the piece of technology we're taking to market going to change lives around us, and make sure people know that. I think Jim Collins got it right here, that it's not the right people attract money, but money itself isn't the thing that's going to motivate them to take your job offer. And there's a process in hiring, right, that's vital. So I've hired I've hired 8 C-level executives between San Francisco and the UK, who come from incredible backgrounds. The CIO of Oracle said about the chap we hired as CEO, he's probably the top 3 executives he's ever worked with. So from Silicon Valley, Pakistani-American guy who built a company bought by Microsoft when he graduated Harvard. Incredible track record. He now is COO of product management for Salesforce. So he's he ran the US for a while. So we need to sell and attract the best talent possible. He moved to Bristol. And think big. So when we moved to the US, that was our little office. We shared it with Spotify, who put their first West Coast office. Uber was incubated. That was their first office. So incredible building. And all around in San Francisco, there's just, every block has names, your household names in terms of tech. So it's a fabulous place to be. I think the purpose of this slide is to think, when thinking about the market, think global from day one. Have to execute locally because that's the most cost-effective way. So let's do our home market, let's succeed, and then expand. But we must always have a plan to build globally. So I'm really pleased at Brightpearl, we always had international customers signing up for the platform. So we'd take the business, but we didn't put feet on the ground out there until we had a certain momentum. And really, we couldn't service them from the UK anymore. Even though we had night shifts, corner of the office in Stars and Stripes, trying to really localize a remote culture. And in the end, they want boots on the ground, so we had to go out and build with a global vision from day one. That's a cute slide we use at FatMap. I thought I'd share it. But there was, just to give you a better feel for these companies, I wanted to just very quickly show a video or two. Gosh. We'll do those for close, and then happy to take as long as you want for questions. This is a quick introduction to Brightpearl, so you get a sense of what we do.
So you've decided to sell on eBay. Congratulations! You're on one of the world's largest marketplaces and your business is starting to grow. Orders are starting to arrive at all times of day and night, and not just from eBay, from all your different channels all over the world. As you get more and more orders, life becomes more and more complicated. Keeping your product listing up to date on eBay and orders managed in your system is proving to be a challenge. Relax. This is where Brightpearl can help. Brightpearl has one of the most fully featured eBay integrations on the market. Brightpearl allows you to create and publish listings direct from Brightpearl to eBay. And when the customer hits buy, the orders from eBay go directly into Brightpearl. There we manage your inventory levels, create the accounts, pick, pack, and ship, handle the invoices, and via eBay send a cheery note to the customer to tell them their products are on their way. You can even manage multiple eBay storefronts and even have different prices on each one. And we also integrate with a whole host of carriers and suppliers and allow you to drop ship. However you fulfill, we've got your back. Oh, and we don't just support eBay, of course. Brightpearl manages all your other sales channels too. When you sell on one, we'll update all your channels, whether it's on Amazon, your e-commerce store, phone, or point of sale. Just top seller status and happy customers. Brightpearl is software for growing retailers. It integrates orders, inventory, and customer data across all your sales channels. With Brightpearl in place, you can focus on what you love, serving your customers and growing your business.
Bit dated as well now, but there's one vid. There's a freelancer who is great rate, and a guy we found on the internet did the voiceover for the US market. We just launched an eBay integration. Remarkably, they actually paid us $750,000 without taking any equity to build that integration. First, they wanted to invest in the company, but as a potential acquirer, we didn't want to let them into the board and in the Komodo to see everything that was wrong. But it was strategic for them. They need more inventory and sales. Our customers probably send about 10,000 box an hour using our software. So if you're buying stuff on eBay and Amazon, it's probably coming from a small retailer using a system like Brightpearl, if not Brightpearl. And this, very quickly, is, I'm not sure how to full screen it, so we'll just play it. This is FatMap. So those kind of polished, semi-polished vids might look like they're a long way off, but actually that reality is very close. Those cost, well, that one cost actually about 20 grand, but the other one cost a few £100. But it does all start here. I remember I was in the building just down the road judging kind of a Dragon's Den style competition of PhDs presenting their projects wrapped up as a business. And about 3 years later, a guy came up to me in the engine shed and said, "Andy, you might not remember me, but you picked me as a winner in that competition and said I should do something with this. Don't just get a job, try and make it something." And he said, "We just closed a 10 million investment round. The company's called Ultra Haptics, and it's a fantastic business." And it does start in places like this. We were at Sheffield University, barely getting a degree, working in a basement, building skateboards. It often happens in these environments. And then taking it into this is, into a polished marketing isn't actually that hard. The hard stuff is what you're working on now. And how you commercialize a business. Gentleman asked a question, do you do the IP or do you create a product? It's a tough call to do that. You can go either way. I think it's very hard to sell IP because it's for an external, I'm thinking like Blue Wireless Technologies is a fantastic business in the engine shed that that's creating IP. But that you look at the team and actually what's the team strong at? That's their strengths. And that's a more great way to market. I think it's fairly high risk because the world doesn't really know what IP is. If they were building an internet solution that we were all using, then it would probably be a bigger business. But that's not their skill set, and they've done something fantastic. And I'm sure that business we'll see it acquired in the within 5 years, in my opinion. But other businesses like I'm thinking you have to help me here, Rick. The chap in Wiltshire who sold Ubiquitous for 200 or 300 million did consumer-facing or business-facing routers. Some fantastic businesses. But yeah, all starts here. Any questions?
I have one. Sorry. I like the way you said. About thinking global from day one. But the problem always with the startup is that you don't have enough resources. You don't have enough people. There's only 24 hours in a day. So how do you marry that up with the need to go global and still having to do customizations for every geography they go into? I imagine with the accounting software you have different accounting rules and so on.
Yeah.
How do you strike that balance?
Yeah. So it's always think about how many chips you have to play. In the early days, you don't have many chips, so you've just got to do local, and don't spread yourself thin. And this is where it becomes a question of focus. So have an ambition to global. So when you can, plan for that. So when you can have more chips, you know where to place them. But just start local is my advice. In thinking, you want to have a small number of people that love the product rather than a lot who like it. So give me 10 customers that rave about you than 100 or 1,000 that say it's all right. So yeah, start small, but be ambitious for global businesses.
Just to follow on, when you say local, do you mean local or UK local?
Well, with the internet, people can buy stuff anywhere if it's web-based software. So, but
I suppose my question is really, do you rely on one-to-one interactions at the start to define what your product is?
Yeah, understand. So I think that's vital, actually. I think building those having first interaction with potential buyers and them saying no helps you in so many ways because you understand their needs. We made software for a skateboard business. We needed to figure out, do other people have needs we do? So what we did actually is to get more face time. We were actually working full-time in other companies at this point, but we took kind of 4 days off work, put $5,000 into e-commerce expo, which was all the money we had pretty much, and put up some posters and pretended we had a business called Pearl at the time. Well, we didn't, we had the software, but not a business, and some flyers, and then very nervously spoke to, people walking the floor who, some of them were thinking about building an e-commerce business, but some actually genuinely were and had real needs. And when we said, we do this, do you have any problems that this could help? Some people said yes, and others said no, I'm looking for here. So you can understand what people need. And then when, I think about we signed people, I say we signed, they became customers then. We had nothing for them to sign, but we committed to them. And then they go with you on a journey. I think of Andy Gaze, who runs All Parts, a guitar business with 8 employees in Hampshire. He would phone us every day, and he was part of the journey actually in helping us develop the software. And there's a small gang of those early adopters that they're really important. So I think you can't just send a piece of software into the internet. It's people, and you've got to spend a lot of time with them. And that can be difficult, particularly when you're then thousands of customers and Andy Gay still wants to speak to you every day, which is true, he does. Yeah. It's been very hard. I think actually he stopped using the platform because of that. And the mindset of an early adopter is that's everything to them. But there's an adoption curve that starts with an early adopter and innovator, ends with a laggard, and the majority at the middle is actually what we need to focus on. So, it's different. Any other questions?
It's more of a question. It's repeating a point made by David May this morning, and I just wanted to see what's your opinion on that. He stressed that there is no better time to start a company or get yourself involved with something as crazy as what you describe than when you just finish your education. Do you subscribe to that view? What's your opinion? Is it always good time to do a company, or is it better time?
There's something. I'm really tired actually now, and I have financial commitments that I didn't. So there is something special, and there's something special about the connections as well. It's you have with fellow technologists starting out, and but later on there are different relationships. So I'm part of a run membership for a group of entrepreneurs and investors, and actually most of them have done pretty well in something, and they're all doing something again. And actually, hindsight is a wonderful thing. And these guys and girls, the lessons they have just help them out in their second business no end. But so there's pros and cons, right? I think it's always a good time. In terms of external market factors, Brexit, crashes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There will always be challenges. When we raised like a few months after Lehman Brothers collapse, and no one was investing, and someone, let alone a million seed. A seed's normally 50k, 100k. We got 1 million from Bristol, to Bristol investors. So, if you've got the right proposition, if you believe it, if you can back it up with data, and there is money around. So if you do need help introduction to investors at the right stage, happy to help with that kind of stuff. Investors find it hard to find good companies and people to put money to work in. So I was at a first birthday party of a VC night before last. Was it last night? I forget. Maybe it was last night actually. It was last night. It's been quite busy, and they've probably got the biggest fund in the UK. It's about 500 million, and there's only 3 partners. And they can't put the money, deploy the capital. They're desperate for businesses. But the bar is so high. They're looking for something that in 5 years can be worth a bunch. But an IP business like Blue Wireless Technologies, very, very investable. Lots of them around. Sure.
So you are based in Bristol, also in San Francisco, and how did you decide to make this transition, and how does it actually work with when you finally decide to spread to other countries, whether it's same continent or not? How do you make that decision, and how do you even find the right people? Because presumably you don't just pack a bag and fly off to a place which doesn't speak your language.
Yeah, so... Well, the US is a 10x market. Teams there have an unfair advantage. Picture it paddling a boat in a river. That river's moving a lot faster than ours, and they paddle hard. So it's a great place to do business. Sand Hill Road is one road, which is probably the most expensive real estate on the planet, and it's all the VCs are on this one place with $1 billion to stick into companies. So it all happened. They've got all the experiences there. So for software, I have one option. The problem is, for me, it's 8 hours away, which makes teamwork very, very difficult. And New York would be, much closer and better place. And actually, New York's where a lot of our buyers are. But for us, it's sources of capital that were the main consideration. So that was the location. In terms of timing, we had lots of customers. So, because that market is so much bigger, I decided we're going to build a US flavored product. So we are going to localize the accounting package. We're going to remove the S's and put Z's in and spell everything wrong. We're going to have silly American voiceovers. And we're going to do that all from Bristol. And we did. And then we had a little night shift doing sales and support. And we looked after them. And then it was clear that subtle differences in culture mean everything. And you can't win unless you know it. So at that point, recognise we've got to go over. So I did just pack a bag. I had a board meeting in November, beginning of November. By the end of it, I was in the US on my own. So, having built the UK team, it was quite confident about how you acquire customers in terms of the marketing and sales, how you look after them. My big mistake actually was not taking a product manager with me, and actually a sales leader as well. So because I was on the phone doing the sales in the beginning. Be great to have I just recommend take your own salesperson and your own product manager, so then you know exactly how to change the sales script and exactly how to change the product, because that's my top tip. But I mean, I can tell you, I can do whole talks about the US another time, and then other markets too. I have to say we've never really gone to other markets because those two would do it, but probably 10% of our business comes from the rest of the world, just organically.
Chris, I might have to make that the final question, I'm afraid.
It's not even a question. I was just going to say congrats because you were too modest. We were looking you up last night, and Brightpearl is the top 5 employer in Bristol, or one of them. And it comes through in the talk, and so it's just a comment, we'll be lucky to capture half of that in QTech. So congrats.
Yeah.
It's
No
more
problem.
than just money, and it's clear, I think.
Yeah, it's great. It's been a good ride. Thanks. Yeah, I don't think we can't be one of the top 5 employers, but we're definitely. I get alerts from Glassdoor. I've never looked at Glassdoor before, and actually, our employers are writing about us. They're writing about the management and the CEO. It's like, shit, that's me. Who said that? I know. But yeah, it's great fun. Great fun.
Okay. Great one.
Cool.